Welcome in, guys. This is Eric SideQuest Comics, and welcome to a second episode of 2 Cent Reviews Live. So, 2 Cent Reviews is my 2 cents reviewing something new that just came out this week, and or something I just found digging in bin boxes. So, today I do have a new and an old one for you guys to just go over a little bit, a very brief, no fuss type of review. I'm not going to get super deep into it, just give you an overview of it. And the new one I'm kind of excited for because it's kind of ending something. So, but before we do that, I want to check in with comments, gives people a little bit more time to jump on. And we have a bunch of you guys already in here today. Christina was first today, saying hello. She was on at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, so I don't even think I was home yet. So she beat me. So I gave her some gold stars today. And then we have Christopher Parker is here. He's going to be popping in and out. I was actually popping in a little bit on Cheddar too. I'll probably pop back in when we're done here to see what he has. He has a lot of amazing Spider-Man today. Communion's in here today. Good evening. Good evening. And then we have Michael. There he is, saying good evening to everybody. And I see one more. Stevie D. What's up, Stevie? And there'll probably be some people popping in. I'm trying something a little bit different. I put right here some of the live comments, so maybe it'll help me see if somebody pops in and I can call them out. But let's go ahead and jump right into it because the 2 Cent live show is supposed to be a real quick show. It's kind of opposite of my end of the month live show. I wanted it really short and quick to the point type of thing. And I have a bad habit of doing that. And I also have to bring up 2 Cent Reviews is basically something to inspire me, kick me in the butt, to read what I buy. The first thing I read from yesterday, New Comic Book Day, is kind of the main 2 Cent review today. It's always the one that I'm most excited about. And I figured I do a lot of digging on New Comic Book Day, so maybe something older too. I thought give you a full taste of something new and old. But what do I got today? So, like I said, I got a new one and an old one. So I actually have another banner that I kind of expanded on. So if anybody's jumping in late, they can see what we're talking about. So tonight's 2 cents. One is a new one, new release, Crypto, The Last Dog of Krypton. This is number 5. This is the last issue in the run, the series. It was a limited series. So we got this one tonight. And if you guys didn't see the little thumbnail, I'm doing an old one of The Incredible Hulk, Volume 1, 209. So we're going back to the 70s on this one. So this one's kind of interesting too. So I'm going to jump right into it. Let me do a real quick check. Okay, so that's what we got for today. And basically, to give you a quick summary, what I do is I look at 3 points in my review. I look at story, art, overall, and then I give it a rating. I have like a 3-grade rating ranging anywhere from swill to it's like nectar. So I have just a simple 3 rating, whether it's horrible, middle of the road, and super awesome, throw my money at the cashier type of thing. But don't let my reviews influence you. I'm just kind of giving you my thoughts on it, on how I enjoyed it, what I got out of it type of thing. So the first one I'm going to jump into is Crypto. Crypto, Last Dog of Krypton, like I mentioned, number 5 is the last issue of the series. So what I want to jump in with is that what I'm going to go with story. I'm going to start with story. That's what I usually do. I'm looking at some notes here, guys, that I made. But what I liked about the story was I think the main thing I liked is he saved some people in here. So his super hearing is kind of kicking in, and he hears like some shenanigans going down on this farm. You know, some bad guys are trying to force them to sell, type of thing. And he comes crashing through, and he saves his family, which was one of my favorite things. He's being the hero that he is. Um, but this is the cap to end the whole story, and I thought it was kind of, this series had some tear jerkers in it, and I liked how they divided up the chapters. Of first issue, he came to Earth, but he didn't come with Clark. And then they take him through like a year. They do a fall, a winter, and then a spring, and then this one. And it's like he has his own adventures, which are kind of fun. Yeah, it's simple, quick read, but it was pretty enjoyable story through his point of view. So I thought that's what was interesting about it. And so basically, it was an enjoyable story, and I'll touch on some more story points in my overall summary of it, the full package, I like to call it. But let's jump to art, because the art is what kind of really got me. Now, the art, let's start with the covers. Jay Lee knocked it out of the park with these covers. Like, this is number 5. I have all the other ones. Let me show you the other ones real quick too. So here's number 1, where he's leaving Krypton. And then number 2, he actually meets Lex Luthor, which is interesting. And then we have this one. He's fighting some kind of monster. And then this one I thought was cool, when his powers are starting to develop. So, yeah, this was spring. And then, of course, they have variant covers, so I couldn't resist them. And here's one of the ones I got. This was for this issue. I thought it was kind of cool. Nice little summary. He finally gets to meet his boy. But, yeah, the artwork, it helped tell the story, I think. It was clean. It was easy to follow. I don't want to call it simple, but it was straightforward. What I liked about it, because it was from the dog's point of view, is that it wasn't overly cartoony. Like, which it can be when you're doing a story with animals. A lot of times they have the habit of turning it into a cartoony thing to appeal to kids in a way. And actually, I think that this is a good storyline for kids. Yes, it does have some kind of tearjerker moments where a friend doesn't fare well that Crypto makes, and then but it's just, that's part of the adventure, of him developing into that hero. He wants to help people. But yeah, overall, I liked the art. It was clean. It told a story straightforward. You didn't need a lot of words, type of thing. I like artwork that you can kind of follow, and the artwork tells you a little bit of the story. You don't have to get too wordy to tell a good story. So, full package. I'm going to jump right into the full package because I am starting to ramble, guys. Now, I thought this was a great issue. Like I said, it's the final issue. It's a great series, and I think it was fun to see him find Clark in the end on this one. It's almost like an origin story that we may have got bits and pieces like through his history, going back 50, 60 years. But yeah, I liked seeing his powers evolve in the series as it went on, and he had his different adventures. And like I said, I think this was a great book, and this whole series was a great series for kids to read, to get into Crypto, Superman, just comics in general. Even if they're not really a comic book kid, it's a fun, enjoyable read. That I just the character of the Superdog will appeal to kids. So, and I think that's important to be able to get kids to read the stories like that. Now, let's see. The story was sad at some points, but I also think that it was the rest of it, the adventure part, balanced that out, and it kind of really rounded out, his character as a developing hero. So, ratings for Crypto, Last Dog of Krypton, number 5. I am going to give it my middle rating, which is Fun Buckaroos. So this one I think was worth the money to read. It was entertaining. It was a fun story. It had, all the different adventures from chapter to chapter. So I liked the way they broke up the story. The artwork was, nice and clean and fun to look at. I didn't have to really kind of figure out what was going on in different panels. And the one thing I want to mention about this, that if you're interested in it and you don't have it, and you don't want to track down all the issues, I'm sure there'll be a trade for this. And I think this is a perfect type of story to get as a trade paperback, especially for kids, like I mentioned. So that's one thing to look for. But so that is my first review, my 2 cents on Crypto Last Dog of Krypton. I don't know if you guys are reading this. If you haven't, consider picking it up. This is one of the ones that I think if you do get issue for issue, it makes it even worth more because you'll get it at, a little bit discounted price, or like I said, the trade. So let me know if you've read this one down below, if you're catching this late, or if you guys are live right now. I'd be interested to hear what you guys thought of this one. And before we get to the next one, I want to check in with the chat real quick. I see a couple people jumping in here. I see Big Nasties jumping in. What's up, Rich? We got Coach is in here. They're saying hello to Rich. And I also see Chanko jumping in. What's up, Chanko? Yeah, I kind of like having a chat down here, guys. It helps me see when you guys jump in, type of thing, especially if I have my my banners on and stuff like that, or I'm clicking the side buttons over here. All right, so let me take a sip. We're at 13 minutes, so we're about halfway. I'm doing pretty good, guys. I'm doing pretty good. And we're going to jump into our old one. Now, I thought I was going to have another new one because there was a couple new books I got this week that I was super excited for. But I did go to another store to pick up some new books that mine sold out of, and I wanted to get a copy of it. And I went through their back issue bins, and the one I grabbed is going to be this one. So this is my second 2 cent review this week, and it's an oldie, The Incredible Hulk 209, and this is from 1976. So it's a little further back than Crypto, but I'll admit I grabbed this because of this cover. Look at that cover. Is that not cool? And I mean that's a very cool cover. All right, so Hulk 209 76. Basically, I paid, and I'll tell you guys straight up, I paid $5 for this. I think this was worth $5 for an older book from the 70s. It's in really good shape. I mean, it's nice, and clean. It wasn't beat to hell like a lot of the books I get to read. But let's jump in the story. So this is a story that's basically, it's a classic bad guy, good guy banter in it. They're battling. Now, it did have a few points in here that I was a little confused. I wasn't sure the plot, like where the plot was coming from, because it seemed like it's picking up from previous issues. And yeah, it's like they have Crusher here is being hired by, the mysterious bad guys in the shadow to basically kind of take out the Hulk. And I mean, other points they had in here is like classic Bruce Banner Hulk type thing. He's wandering. He just got an apartment and he's looking for, that side job without revealing too much of his, his origin or who he is type of thing. And of course, without luck, he's not finding a job. One of the other things that they had in here that I thought was confusing to me, let me see if I can find it real quick. They have, this is Jim Wilson. So I guess he's one of Bruce's buddies here, and he's hitchhiking across America to get to New York to help him. I don't know how he knows he needs his help. I don't even really remember that character, but it just seemed like an odd couple panels. Just a little like they're planting seeds there, and I don't know why or what's going on. So that one, and then there was one other one with Doc Samson and Ross right here, where they're kind of some guy showed up at the army base and he collapsed. They don't know who he is or what his story is. So it's just like kind of like, wonder what's going on there. And then there's something else with Betty Ross and her husband. I didn't know she was married at this point, you know? So just a couple story elements, seeds, or stuff from previous issues that I just don't know what's going on. But other than that, I like some of the stuff that Crusher basically eggs Hulk on with. You know, like I said, it's classic. I mean, he says stuff like panty waist, jade jaws, the green gorilla. I was kind of laughing when I was reading it. So I thought that was kind of fun and funny. Kind of a throwback, you know, the simpler times. You know, it wasn't very deep dialogue type of thing. But yeah, you know, it's simple plot. You know, basically he wants to absorb his powers to beat him. Now let's go into the art. I liked the layout from panel to panel. I liked how it told the story of, you know, the action. Like right here, there's a lot of action sequences, and I thought it told the story well. It didn't get too repetitive with the power poses. It was kind of cool to see Absorbing Man use his powers in different ways. And of course, like I said, I love the cover. That's kind of what made me grab it. Very cool cover. And yeah, I really like this classic art. It's clean. It's cool to see these characters fighting. And then, you know, of course, they get straight to the point. It wasn't long-winded. You could read this and enjoy it for the story, for the art, which is what I did. I really enjoyed this, basically one-off. Now, full package on this one. Even though it had those couple points, that story points that were seeds or just like kind of stuff from previous issues, I liked it a lot. I actually liked the throwback Hulk story. You know, the classic Banner Hulk story where he's traveling from town to town. He's kind of hiding out. He's trying to not turn into the Hulk because every time that happens, chaos happens, like which happens in this. And basically, because they were fighting, a whole building came down. You know, he worked there not even a day, and he turns into Hulk and destroys a brand new building. So, but it was a lot of fun. They brought down the house, and I liked how, you know, Crusher at the very end. Let me see if I can find it real quick again. He kind of goofed up. He's all about, you didn't win, you didn't beat me yet. I just got to grab one thing. Well, what does he grab? He grabs a piece of glass, you dummy. When he hits the ground, he just shatters. So, oops. I thought that was kind of funny that happened. But yeah, I overall, I think this time of the Hulk was the most enjoyable to read. I think it was kind of really in his prime here. I to the point that I want to find, you know, issues just before this, just after it, and kind of read a little bit more of the storyline that they were doing right here. So it's something I could get behind. And yeah, we'll see if I can find them. I mean, this is 209. I think the earliest one I have of this is 200. And then I think I jump into the 220. So I'm sure they're out there, and I'm sure they're not that expensive. Like I said, this one was $5. A lot of times at my regular LCS, I see, you know, Hulk from this era anywhere from $3 to $10, which I don't think is too expensive and breaking the bank. If you just want a good read, I think this era in the like mid to late 70s is a good time for the Hulk. So rating on Incredible Hulk 209. I think I kind of got to go high on this one. I'm going to try and be a stickler on the high ones since I only have 3 points. But I think I'm going to go high on this one because I enjoyed it so much. And my high rating is, is make it run, make it rain, dollar, 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 dollar. So this one I enjoyed a lot. I can highly recommend, if you guys see this, pick it up, not just for the cool art, but it's a good story too, I think. And it's fun to put in your collection. And like I said, I'm going to try and find some more of these. But yeah, I definitely want to read some more of this. So that's my 2 cents on Hulk 209. And guys, let's see. I am at 21 minutes, which is right where I want to, keep this show. I'm gonna do a quick check in the chat to see if any of you guys said anything about these. Let's see. Let's see. So we got K Munin talking to Chanko there. Okay. Rich is saying he loves that book. Yeah, you're a fan of Sal Buscema, is what it is, I think. And I that's one of the things I liked about the art too. To be fair, we don't really think of deep thought when people bring up the Hulk. That's true. That is true. Unless he's still Bruce. If he's Banner still, then you kind of get the deep thought. And Chanko saying Zoring Man is underrated. Yes, and I don't see him that much anymore. He's one of those 70s, 80s characters that you just don't see a whole lot anymore. And I think he's got a cool power. I like the big chain ball that he's got that he throws around. So, yeah, and then Stevie, of course you're going to like those old 70s books. That was right in your prime, right, man? But guys, like I said, that is my 2 cents for today on the comics, crypto, and Incredible Hulk 209. If you guys could leave a comment down below, I appreciate that. Let me know what you guys think of these. Would you be interested in reading them with my 2 cents that I just added to you guys? And hey guys, while you're at it, if you haven't done it yet, please smash that like button, subscribe, comment if you're not subscribed yet. What was your favorite comic? I'd like to know. Let me know what you thought about the overall story of these. And also check me out on Instagram. I'm doing Halloween posts every day this month. I'd love for you guys to check out some cool spooky covers that I'm doing. But that's all I got for you guys today for this quick 2 cent review. So until next time, guys, happy questing, and we will talk to you later. Thanks for joining me tonight, and we'll see you next week. Bye, guys.